First thing, so whenever you're deadlifting, you want to make sure you set up everything above you first, all right, before you come down and engage that bar, okay? Sometimes, or bell or whatever, right? Sometimes it's perfectly acceptable to get yourself down here and then get yourself set up. Deadlift, not so much, because you're never gonna be stronger than the initial time you do it. So if you come down and then set yourself up, you're never gonna be as strong as if you do it first and then come down to the bar at the bottom. Okay, so first thing, you're gonna pretend like you have that kettlebell in between your feet. You're gonna tuck your hips, right? Creating that neutral position in your hips. You're gonna get your abs nice and tight. Okay, you're gonna pull your shoulders back slightly. Okay, from here you're gonna throw your hips back to the wall behind you, keeping your knees nice and soft. And then you're gonna come down and engage that bell. All right, now when you do this, go ahead and stand yourself up. You wanna have what I call a neutral head. Go ahead and engage that bell. Neutral head, neutral spine, so still looking down. About right here. Okay, so you want to have what's called that neutral spine. Get yourself tucked, abs nice and tight, shoulder blades hold. From here, you're going to throw your hips back, keeping this all nice and tight. Engage that bell. Again, nice neutral spine. Now, when you're in that bottom position, again, the goal here is to get kind of a vertical shin. We may not be able to get everybody there, and that's okay, but that's the goal. So from this position here, you're going to try to be as kind of straight up and down from your ankle to your knee as you can be. So Holly, just make those feet a little bit wider for me. There you go. So the big thing here is you're taking care of this middle section, right? We're making sure we're staying nice and safe there. Okay, so she's doing what's called the Russian swing. So that Russian swing is that eye level, chest level swing. All right, we'll talk a little bit, or we'll show you and talk a little bit about the American swing here in a little while as well. But that's what you're doing. So Russian is that eye level, chest level. Okay, this again, we're going to start off without the bell, and then we're going to add the bell. Okay, so you can just kind of step out of the way of that bell, and we'll get you started here a little bit. Okay, so here's the deal. So you're going to deadlift that bell up when we give you the go ahead, and that's how you're going to start this process. Okay, so again, take care of that stuff. Hips are tucked, abs are turned on, shoulder blades are pulled slightly. Now, at the top and the bottom, your arms need to be straight. Every place else, they don't need to be. And so for my thoughts of this, your bottom is that bottom position here, okay? And your top position is the American swing here. So the Russian, that's not your top yet, okay? So understand that. Okay, so as you're going through this, the power that's generated for a kettlebell swing is from your hips, okay, and the pulling of your shoulder blade. All right, so when you do this, it's kind of like it's a motion where your hips go back and your hips come forward. Okay, as you're doing this, your chest stays tall. All right, your hands are going to connect into your hips here, okay, and the inside of your thighs here, and then you're going to pop those hips, squeeze that butt, you're going to pull those shoulder blades in as you go through that range of motion. Now, as you're doing this, you have to make sure that you don't get in that hyperextended position, okay, because you're going to want to pop your hips, then you're going to start to look like this. All right, this should not hurt your back. If it does, you're doing it wrong. Okay, so from here, make sure you're tucked, hips in, abs turned on. All right, from here, you're going to pop your hips, come up to that top position. All right, you're going to be patient. You're going to let your elbows connect back into your body as you come to that bottom position, and then throw your hips back. Now, here's the deal. Everybody put your hands out in front of you like this. Throw your hips back as far as you can. Throw your hips back. Where do you instantly feel that? That sucks. Don't do that again ever. Okay, and that's what we'll see, right? So we'll see, you'll pop your hips and then you'll be like, okay, I have to throw my hips now to generate power. Well, that's way too soon. And that's one of the reasons your back will start to hurt, because you're not patient with that as that bell kind of descends down. Okay, so be nice and patient. Let those elbows connect back into your body, and then those hips go back. All right, and then you pop them again. All right, and repeat that process. She's just gonna get herself oriented, and then she's gonna pop and squeeze a little bit more.
I love those.
Pop and squeeze. Now, a couple things here. You don't have to, so you're good, Ange, whenever you're good there. So a couple things. So at the top position, you may be limited by some mobility, okay? And that's okay. So everybody put your hands together like this. Tuck your hips, abs turned up. Arms nice and straight, thumbs up towards the sky. From here, you're gonna imagine that you have a box in your hand, okay? And what I want you to do is I want you to go up and overhead until you hit a little resistance. So arms stay straight, so stop, freeze. So arms stay straight, okay? I don't want any of this, right? Arms straight. Straight up, you're gonna stop when you hit resistance without hyperextending. Okay, so that, whatever that is, that's your range of motion. So I'm gonna tell you, Russian swing finishes over your head, I wanna see your ears. Okay, however, that may not be you. Okay, wherever your range of motion is, that's where you stop. Because what's gonna happen is two things. you're either gonna end up hyperextending as you're coming up and overhead, or you're gonna make some modification for it someplace else. Okay, and a lot of what I've seen is, right, we start to throw our elbows out to the side again, you get that internal rotation, get that pulling all in your shoulder, we have shoulder issues. Okay, obviously not something that we want to have to deal with, right? Why make it harder on ourselves? So wherever that point is for you, where you stop, that's where you stop in your American swing. Okay. Second thing here is both with the Russian and it happens more with the American. You've got to make sure that as you go up and overhead, or as you go into that Russian swing, you don't have what I call droopy bell syndrome. Okay, and that looks like this. Okay, so as you're in the position, right, and the bell's going to end up here. Especially if you're overhead, you can see how that might be a problem. Okay, so again, as you're going through, it's really just the momentum. All right, what's going to happen is if you have that droopy bell syndrome, most likely what's happening is you're pulling with your arms and not popping with your hips. Okay, so like if I'm pulling with my arms, like this is what happens. Right, if I'm popping with my hips, this is what happens. Okay, so most likely that's the problem.